On the way back from the airport yesterday. Fun fact, Robert is in town. He'll be hosting tomorrow's SEC with Danya from this chair. And we were ranking Hikaru and Magnus' skills, Danya. We were talking about Hikaru's skills of defending and persevering in those resourcefully kind of bad positions. You put it 99 out of 100. And then we said Magnus at converting small advantages is probably 99.99 out of 100, right? He does it better than anybody in history. And right there, it doesn't matter that it was maybe equal. He just finds a way to convert those positions. It's so tough to hold.
And that's why anytime you have these long-term advantages, he's up a pawn in a middle game, you're kind of screwed because you can defend perfectly for 30 moves, which Fabi did. He's going to get you down on the clock, and then he's going to find some arrangement of pieces to trick you every single time he does it in classical chess. Yep. And he's adapted himself perfectly to Blitz. I mean, he's carried over that skill from classical to Blitz, which is just so impressive to me.
Yep. All right, well, back to another theoretical battle. Note that, are you okay?
Sorry about that. I muted myself, but
we heard every minute.
You heard that cough. I apologize.
We heard that cough.
It was a bad coffee swallow. I know the expression in Russian. You say, "I swallowed down the wrong throat," but I don't know the equivalent. It's like when you have a bad down the wrong tube. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Anyway, note that Magnus didn't go back for the classical to the classical Nimzo, which means I think he liked Fabi's position there. If you're just tuning in, game one was an interesting classical Nimzo where Fabi went for it with black, and frankly had a very good position before time pressure, and then Magnus kind of squeezed one out. But here Magnus avoids the mainline Nimzo. Instead, we are in a Catalan. It's just always interesting to know who varied first, right? We had a Nimzo starting, and Magnus said, "I don't want another classical Nimzo." So just always making little notes about how they're shuffling.
Yeah, this is such a popular line, popular structure, and to be completely honest with you, Danny, I'm a little bit skeptical of Fabi's opening choice here because in this line, you're basically playing for two results. I mean, Black has a lot of activity on the queen side, but Magnus just loves these positions where he's up a pawn and he can squeeze a small advantage for 30, 40 moves. So Fabi better be super accurate here with his king-queen side activity or we're going to get a repeat of the last game.
Yep. Little advantages converted by Magnus.
What a move. Sorry, Danny, go ahead.
No, if takes the G2 bishop falls.
But queen takes B4.
And there's a rook hanging on. Okay, analysis board, please.
No. Bishop takes G5, immediately queen takes B4.
Oh, queen takes B4 immediately. Okay. For kids who don't chess good but highlight good, let me show you. Takes. There's a few kids in the chat who don't chess as good as others, but they do love learning visually. I'm your man. You're welcome, chat. And note that if you take here first...
Persists even if the queens are off the board. So I just think Magnus is going to recapture and try to use the e6 pawn as a decoy and go after that h5 pawn. And Black is starting to suddenly experience problems for the first time in this middle game with his own king.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
let's
this
see
is
how
why I
Fabi
said you
handles
don't want to take, because of this idea. Also, the f-file feels super dangerous. Okay, now Fabi's all in. This is kind of instructive in that he's playing active defense. He knows he can't just sit tight. He's got to create counterplay.
He's played active defense for the duration of this defensive task. And it's been great. H4, another good move. He's just trying to get all the pawns off the board.
Yep.
And H3 is very tempting, but the knight jumps into F4, and suddenly things get dicey there. You could lose that H3 pawn.
Note how key the queen is defensively, guarding both H5 and F5.
Yeah.
Massive.
This is still very difficult for Black, but Magnus down below 20 seconds.
Fabi correctly managing his time here. We always talk about the difference between taking your time and managing your time. He had an edge on the clock. That was a big decision, and look, the eval bar agrees with him. He made the right one with HG, not H3. And he took a few seconds to make sure he made the appropriate and critical pawn decision.
And he's whittled the pawn count down to a 2 versus 1. Obviously, if he wins E6, it's just an insta-draw. Actually, then the bishop might be stronger than the knight. So maybe it's time for Queen F5 check, which is not quite a draw for White. Gets still squeezed for a couple moves there, but Fabi's going to hold that. And Magnus making the prudent decision.
The rook can come behind the pawn. You get king here at bishop f6. This should be holdable now.
Well, rook e4, knight f4, bishop d6 might be just a forced draw because you lose e6, I think.
Yeah, straightforward. Bishop d6. Fabi finds it.
Yeah, that's
going to make the exchange. We have a draw. Magnus is going to lay it out. Now, as far as the meta strategy goes, because of the match format with the time ticking down, and because Magnus believes he's the better player with